Smart 24, driving business.
A very good morning to you. It's always a delight to have you join us on Smart Means Business here live at Smart 24 TV. A very good morning. How are you today? My name is Kemcha Doreen and I'm joined by Noah. Noah is on a high. Noah is on a very good high today. It's a very positive day. Remember, we always seize our day. We're very excited about the different news, nationally, regionally, internationally. It's always a good day.
My mornings on SMB are always high.
I know.
I
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you eat. I don't know what you eat. Either way, you come on a high, on a very high way.
I love this job.
Just to take you through, let's give you a sneak peek into what we're going to have today. We're going to talk about, of course, a couple of trending issues. In this, we have to talk about corruption, the corruption web, what is happening, who is involved, and how does it really affect some of the daily operations. We'll talk about some of the business survival tactics that are taken in. And then when it comes down to Karibu, East Africa, the regional news, of course, we'll have a little bit of insight into what is happening in Tanzania when it comes to their meat exports. There's some surge there, some good news coming in, and of course the Kenyan protests. Who cannot talk about that? We're going to have a look at that. What is this
issue that Kenyans have blocked again our milk from getting into their country?
That is also another thing as well. We've had this ping pong, up and down relationship, love and hate relationship with Kenya, but would want to get to see the implications and give a backtrack. What is this all about? Is it just about the sugar, the taxing, the sugar? We already know that there have been quite a lot of issues when it comes down to some of their food.
So much.
Yes, so we're going to be talking about that and giving you. Get onto our social media handles, as we always say. Get onto the social media pages, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter or X, and let us know what you think about some of
we are
these
streaming
topics.
live on YouTube for those that would like to watch as they drive.
Yeah.
You're leaving home, and if you want to cut the show, you can stream live on YouTube.
Yes, and then of course we will have a little bit of what is in the press. Yesterday we had some news coming in about, from all over the place. It is still trending about corruption. The president's not happy. He's cracking down. But of course you have to get everyone on board, because clearly a couple of days back the speaker was mentioning her own, on the contrary, and people were having a field day about it. But now people are a little bit guarded because heads are rolling.
We had an entire 1.5 hours discussing the current fight on corruption last night. We had Honorable Salam Sumba, we had Major retired Awich, and of course the Inarim Kada was emphasizing on the fight against corruption and the president's efforts. Very strong approach this time round. Some of the questions we're asking is what is different, because the president has been strong on corruption for the past decades, emphasizing how corruption has to be stamped, fighting corruption, but this time action is different.
How is it different?
5 arrested.
But there's always someone that is arrested. There's always someone that is arrested. That is why you'll notice. You'll notice the comedy that goes around around this. People are not actually interested in what happens in the first couple of weeks.
We have never seen 5 MPs arrested.
They are interested in what happens after those 5 weeks. A couple of people have been sent in, 3, 4. People have been sent in. A lot has been written in the papers. But what happens after the initial couple of weeks? Then they are forgiven. Then this and this comes in, it dies down. There's even another one coming in and saying, you know what, maybe the Lubiji saga was brought to detract, to remove it.
Ugandans and their diversions. But forget my pessimist or colleague here. We are fighting corruption, and this time we are seeing results. Anyway, results really? Isn't that
We will only be able to see results when it has been taken back, when the others also cry in humility and say, you know what, let's do something about this. But when it comes down to the corruption index, look at it. Uganda, from 0 to 100, yes. In 2023, Uganda ranked 20, got 26. That was the index. And remember, 0 stands for very highly corrupt, whereas the 100 is clean. And it was at 26. Kenya was at 31. Yes?
We are doing bad when it comes to corruption internationally. According to this, we are doing bad.
Yes.
I mean, if we are being compared to countries, young countries that have gone through a lot of civil wars, you know, you're looking at, you know, they will be like, but at least we are better than Sudan. I wouldn't really be looking at South Sudan as an example that has to be compared with us, because
South Sudan is trying. We've
had 40 years of stability. Corruption should be something that the people should respect the president's efforts and make sure that we stamp it out of the system, especially these, should I call it aggravated corruption? Is it even appropriate? Because if somebody has to steal and step out and says, oh, I mean, it's okay. That's
No, I was actually looking at some of the taggings on different countries, and they were saying Uganda's corruption is at grand scale. Grand scale. You know, that's what stood out for me. It's at grand scale. It's no longer even 10 million, 100 million, 300. We are now into billions and
But you see, it's
billions.
also what makes me think when we have to look at the situation that's happening in Kenya, Doreen. People are looking at the financial bill. People are looking at the financial bill, but analysts are giving examples of the continued challenges that Kenyans have been going through, which are the reasons actually why people are demonstrating and banning banning a number of
the
properties.
places. Yes.
That these are quite horrifying pictures.
And this is youth-led, by the way. It's a youth-led. It was meant to be an orderly sort of protest, very quiet, and that's how it started off. But of course, that has broken out. A couple of dead, and are dead, and we're still getting reports about what is happening. So
one of the
sad
things,
situation.
One of the analysts that was talking about some of the things is that a lot of things have been affected ever since President Ruto became president. They are talking about now there's a lot of nepotism in terms of giving jobs. I think it has been.
It has always been. It has always been there.
This time they are saying, they are giving jobs at funerals. I don't know if you'll get it. But somebody comes to mourn and says, come and work.
Out of sympathy. Out of sympathy.
All those things. So people are getting jobs, people are giving jobs to their family members and all that. Then education has been affected. And then the taxation on, I think, bread and the number of other items that Kenyans depend on. Kenyan population is bigger than ours. But also there have been a lot of drought in Kenya more than Uganda. So there are lots of social, economic, political challenges that people are not satisfied. And of course, there's been accusation of the president being extravagant. He has traveled more than any other person for the small time that he has been in power.
Of course, they are getting to look at some of the things that have been happening. They are scrutinizing. But what is key as well, Noah, is not just the finance bill looking at something of the basic commodities, tax levies on bread and vegetable oil and sugar, and a new motor vehicle circulation tax that is pegged at 2.5% of the value of the car to be paid annually. But if we backtrack, you will notice that according to the Kenya Poverty Report in 2021, Kenya was importing almost 80% food purchases. Literally, Kenyans were not eating their own, grown. It's like we have our dodo here, we have our beans. Most of the Ugandans really are still a little bit within that bracket. The majority will have a house, will be staying in Kampala, but have a couple of things in Wakiso and some agriculture. Yes, but then then with Kenya, actually what has been happening is a lot of the food stuff has been purchased ever since 2021's report, and that is the food poverty. It's a sign of the food increasing food poverty. And so when you come out there, imagine having to as an average Kenyan, having to make sure that you have that money and you're forking it out on the basics of food. Yes, and that is maize, beans, sugar, and the vegetable oils to fry. They are very good chapati eaters, you know, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden now they are telling you that there are new tax levies that are going to still be hitting the bread you've been eating, the vegetable oil you need, the sugar that you need. And
you see, one of the things that you cannot just play around with is food.
Is food.
That's one of the things that somebody is going to, you know, it happened in France way back.
Yes. Let them eat.
Yeah. Don't go that Antoinette.
Let them eat
side,
cake.
But yeah,
let them eat cake.
When you look at the situation in Kenya, also being youth-led, the demonstrations being youth-led, I think I saw a lot of energy, and also I noticed something that the police kind of
is brutal.
It wasn't brutal.
It wasn't.
It is to where we have seen things happen.
Yes. And this was meant to be a peaceful protest, as we mentioned. It even started protest off.
The civil liberty, their rights to demonstrate peacefully. But I know they are going to get violent.
Definitely.
And when they get violent, I have the state power to deploy. You get? And crack down. Because now, after they vandalize parliament, the president now has the power to deploy forces. Definitely. And make sure he cracks down.
And that's why I think live bullets were being fired.
And of course, the state of emergency was declared last night.
Yes, because this may even lead to closure, down.
Exactly.
But the fact about it, this has been President Ruto's different reforms and the different policies and his especially geared to tax have been have not been taken quite well. Remember what had happened even before 2024. It came down when he brought in the housing, the house tax and things like that. And then he also had introduced in the income tax for the upper upper income strata, it wasn't welcome. There were still a couple of riots. This is not the first time this is happening, especially under President Ruto. So it has been on the increase. But when you get to look at the fact of what we talked about in 2021's report about the food poverty, the increase in imports of the basics, looking at the rural communities coming up with around 63% purchases of food. And then talking about around 42% of around the urban households importing, I mean buying their foodstuffs. That is huge.
That's huge.
That is huge.
The hustler is actually turning out to be, I don't know whether he's hustling his way to,
and when
to maintain power.
Exactly. So many are saying that right now that he is the moment, as you mentioned, that you touch the food, there's going to be a problem.
There's going to be a problem.
There's going to be a problem. They're already saying they are struggling hard enough to just survive.
Has the president of Kenya provoked his own citizens?
That is something.
It looks like. But anyways, it didn't go well. A number of people have been killed, unfortunately. And Uganda House was set on fire. So even us Ugandans, we are counting losses
affected.
In Kenya. Yes, Uganda House was set on fire. The theories around it is that Kenyans have this assumption that Uganda government has some sort of hand and influence into the Kenyan politics.
But
those
how?
Assumptions.
How?
Maybe because Ruto and President Museveni are very close.
Yes, are very close.
They're very close, and somehow maybe they don't trust us a little bit. Which is okay.
But how?
Okay.
When you look at the fact that they're always closing and affecting our trade, kicking us out, and then in the next day they are visiting.
At the end of the day, they need us. We are a big market for them. Over 45 million people. You need that. Yeah. So they need our market. We also need them because they're doing well. They're doing quite well when it comes to East African community.
Yes. East African community. The countries that were highlighted to which Uganda exports the most within the East African community is Kenya. And South Sudan first, and Kenya as well. Yes, those are the cores. Then you come down to Tanzania. So we need each other. We need each other. But either way, we're going to have this conversation all throughout. We're going to be talking about, of course, the implications. We want to say that a lot is also happening down here. Maybe we have not come down we have not widened the protest levels. But then also, as of today morning, a couple of news is coming on because the internet was quite slow the entire yesterday. So you have reports coming in that they are trying to limit and fueling over from the other side.
I don't know whether it's still the same thing. Is the internet still down? Have you got
it's very slow. It's as of last night until around midnight we were getting reports from different people on social media saying, "Oh, I thought it was a problem with just my internet."
Actually, MTN today this morning has been apologizing to the customers.
Yes, that apology is being taken suspiciously because people are now thinking that maybe it's an attempt to limit
Ugandans from watching for inspiration. Please don't get inspired to burn our property.
That's dialogue, but
it's not something we want to see.
We're going to have more on this topic, but in relation to what is happening in Uganda. Right now, let's have a quick dash into what's in the press. The press review coming up. Within the new vision, we still said from last week, actually there's been quite a lot of, it's not a smooth ride for many. Minister UIA bosses probed. That is what is headlining today's paper. Quite a lot is happening on that, and we will find out. IGG probes Minister UIA bosses, remember sometime back they were saying they had to refund the monies that were taken over to them. I was the first to report the matter of corruption to IGG, that's the minister, but you were as well part and parcel of this. So if at all it had not blown out into the public, you maybe would have kept quiet. Those are some of the things. Whereas you may try to sanitize what you have done, you still implicate yourself. But so many, officials right now, we here are not very careful, let us say. Healthy couple makes a healthy marriage. Why checks are important. And then, of course, foxes, rabid dogs terrorize Busia. Can you imagine? Foxes.
Foxes?
Yes, foxes.
Like
as
foxes.
in fox.
Still there?
and Namai is not a laughing matter.
No, I love the story.
Rampaging foxes and wild dogs suspected to have crossed from Kenya have raided, they're also running away from the chaos, have raided the districts of Namaingo and Busia, savaging residents and infecting them with rabies, unfortunately.
Or they're biting humans.
Yeah. The raids, which have intensified in the past 6 months, have raised concern among the residents.
They should see how they can... because foxes are wildlife.
That fox too.
And
where?
they are almost extinct by them, because in Uganda,
you would think that a fox would be somewhere like nearer to the national parks, not nearer to Busia, unless, but they are crossing in, the majority of them are crossing in from Kenya. No, they are rabid. They are rabid, but there is also a food shortage the other side and chaos in Kenya, so they are coming back.
Anyway, that's for Uganda Wildlife now to handle.
Government to recruit 600 medics and to promote 600 dangerous metal residues found in lipstick, nail polish. Not even to the ladies, also to the men that get to participate, not to use, that, how do we say it, that get to consort with these ladies. Yes, it is a problem for the lady who applies the lipstick, but also to the gentleman.
Senga.
Exactly. So please be aware, dangerous metal residues found in this. Yes, exposure. Experts say
responsibly.
Experts say exposure of pregnant women to high levels of lead can cause miscarriage, stillbirth, premature birth, and low birth weight. Museveni bids farewell to outgoing Netherlands envoy. Makere launches a new model to boost math teaching through music.
Okay.
And then rioters ban Uganda House, like you mentioned, in Nairobi. Traders are cautioned. That is also now affecting as well the boost. Preparations for Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo 2025 on. It got quite a lot of good reviews over this last one.
It was nice.
Yes, so they're now prepping up for the Expo in 2025. Ex-Mulago senior accountant remanded over 14 billion loss. Yes, and then you also have other officials still reeling over the 6 billion as well that have been gotten from other ministries. Coming down to refugees in urgent need of housing. They are talking about this. And then remember, yesterday we highlighted that in most of the areas, it was a paper that was done. And they were saying in some of these areas where, especially Bidi refugee camp, a lot of environment degradation has gone on.
Yes.
They've cut down trees and done all this stuff. So there is quite a lot.
The Daily Monitor, angry Museveni sends budget back to house. You can find those details in the Daily Monitor. Kenya on fire, and just a little bit about sending the budget back. And this is also comes with the issue that he's also trying to strengthen the fight against corruption and all that. So you will get all those details in that story. And we have Kenya on fire. That is the front picture here. A young man, don't tax our dreams. They are calling themselves Gen Z, Generation Z. So there's a picture here of don't tax our dreams. That's quite very touching there. Violent demonstrations rocked 35 of the 47 counties yesterday as protesters breached and entered into Parliament building, and police shot dead several and finance bill protesters. in the capital of Nairobi. That's a headline there. And we have government seeking answers on the fire at the embassy building. And like we said, the Kenyan, Uganda house in Kenya was set on fire, and the truck stuck at Busia border as Kenyans protest finance bill. You can get this. That brings us to the story we were talking about of we need each other, Kenya and Uganda.
Yeah. But Noah, President Ruto is saying the demonstrations have been hijacked by criminals. Yes, and he's putting it out that whoever is orchestrating this, we have deployed.
That is exactly expected from President Ruto. You know, that is the unpopular opinion I was telling you. That somehow, if I was to think like a thief, to catch a thief, I'm not saying he's a thief, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to see myself in a position whereby I know the end story.
Yes.
I know they are going to vandalize. And I would come up with statements like, yes, we have criminals in this, which gives me a justification to deploy state force and make sure that my bill is justified as a good thing.
But you know that
the demonstrations can become unpopular because of the acts that came in later.
But you know, whereas, and this is just expected, no matter how peaceful a demonstration may be, there's always just a little bit of a nudge. It's not even a push that is needed to move from peaceful to violent. But it is just a small nudge, and it can happen anytime.
Let me tell you this, Doreen. You know, excitement causes aggression.
And which bracket is this? Which bracket is this? These are the youth.
These are the youth.
Very hyper.
They got, after entering parliament, they felt it was victory. They got violent.
Took the mace.
I saw the excitement of a young person who was taking a video and saying, "We've arrived. We are here. Yeah. We are not scared of you." Yeah. Out of excitement, they feel they have won, but they're making a lot of mistakes. This demonstration needs to be understood. And if President Ruto justifies this whole thing as a victory and goes ahead with these bills and these taxations, I don't think Kenya is
set to have any peace in the near time.
Exactly.
But a lot has been said. They say they're going to revisit it at the moment, and that is where it stands with that. And of course, we are waiting for that particular peace dialogue that he will have with some of the leaders.
And talking to Major Retired Awichi yesterday, he in the comparison between the Kenya situation and how Uganda would handle this situation. Do you realize that yesterday demonstrators had planned to go on the streets
in Uganda?
And yesterday, in Kenya. Come on, where in Uganda?
It can happen.
And at the same time, the parliament goes ahead to pass the bill. You get?
Yeah.
Technically, you're just saying, "Oh,
it's okay. We don't care about what is happening out here."
Yes, it's government business, but maybe there was a need for some emotional intelligence
to put into consideration.
Yes.
I think they downplayed it a little bit.
They underrated this whole thing.
Yes, but they also know how they've been past violence, really. There's been past violence and recent within the bracket of 2020 to 2024. So it's really a surprise that.
And in the monitor, hustlers run riots. Hustlers run riots as MPs scamper for safety. Yeah. This is a picture of the parliament, which actually was vandalized. The stick that is
the mace.
The mace was taken by one of the
rioters. Yes, it was. I'm very sure it's basking somewhere. There is quite a lot that is coming in, but right now let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this.